Hello everyone and welcome back to Backlot Banter. I'm Tanner Dykstra here today to do a solo review of the new Darren Aronofsky film, Caught Stealing. This is a 90s set crime thriller starring Austin Butler, Zoe Kravitz, Vincent D'Onofrio, Matt Smith, Liev Schreiber. Bad Bunny is in this thing, along with some other folks. And I'll get to my thoughts on this film in due time, but in the meantime, I want to remind you to subscribe to Backlot Banter if you're not already. Go ahead and comment your thoughts on this film down below, or if you want to talk about that more in depth, we have a Discord server. That link is in the description, so there you can join up and talk about movies with us, and we have a whole bevy of other channel options for you to discuss anything under the sun with us, and we'd love you to join that Discord server, so please do. But the film I'm talking about today is Caught Stealing, the new film from Darren Aronofsky, who just a couple years ago won Brendan Fraser an Oscar with The Whale, but here's taking a very different approach, a very different film than Aronofsky has made, to my knowledge, and that is this sort of fun crime caper. And I say fun because I think that's what the film is sold as in the trailers, but I am coming to you here with a hot scoop here that Caught Stealing is actually quite the dark and dour film. It still has certainly a sense of irreverence to it, but there is a lot of griminess to this film, a lot of darkness to a lot of the events that go on here, and I'll get to spoilers in a moment, but let me just say that yes, that the vibe of the film can at times be quite fun and light and have some jokes and things of that nature, but by and large we're dealing with characters who are haunted by their past demons, who are killing people and feeling the impact of death on their soul. I think it's really interesting what Aronofsky is doing here, because that sort of, real weight hasn't really been done in a lot of these, rollicking crime caper type of movies that we've been getting in recent years. So it really threw me for a loop, but I really kind of like that that's the mood that Aronofsky and the writer Charlie Huston settled on here, that the actions that we take that are sort of just brushed off in many other films have an impact on our characters here. I think it's really interesting, and I think that all the actors do it quite well. Of course, Austin Butler is the big up-and-coming name here in the title role, and he is doing a great job. He is all suaveness, but again, like I mentioned, he has these past demons that haunt him, and Austin Butler can play that pathos quite well. And I think he does it well here, playing a sort of drunken but washed up former baseball player who was gonna make it big, but some tragic goings on in his past a few years ago prevented him from doing that. So now he's working as a bartender in New York City, 1998, and ultimately gets wrapped up in a criminal sort of conspiracy due to, he's cat sitting. Hey, look what I got over here. We got some set dressing, a prop for you here. Yes, he gets involved in this criminal conspiracy because he's doing a little bit of cat sitting for his neighbor, a Brit punk rocker portrayed by Matt Smith. And of course, there's also some other characters that fill out his sort of personal connections. There's Zoe Kravitz, whom I mentioned, who is quite good. She is playing a sort of hard-nosed New York paramedic. And Butler and Kravitz have some great chemistry. They have one scene in particular that is quite sexy and steamy, that, I'm always a fan of, especially as movies these days become a little bit more sanitized and sexless, perhaps. I appreciated this, that we just get to see two hot people just macking on each other, You love to see that in movies, and Aronofsky is not shying away from that in Caught Stealing. But, and this is where I am going to get into some spoilers, so take the recommendation for Caught Stealing now if you have not seen it. Zoe Kravitz is not in a lot of this movie. She is, unfortunately, killed at about the first act mark. I mean, but surprisingly early on in this film, and it really surprised me that is the turn that the story took. But it just lends itself to what I was saying earlier about this story feeling like it has impact, that these are real people and not just, chess pieces in some sort of greater crime caper that the writer is having fun writing or the director is having fun directing. Like, when Zoe Kravitz dies, it has an impact on Austin Butler. He is like really quite shaken, and I think that's really that stuff is really interesting, and it comes as a total gut punch to the audience too. You're just not expecting the film to take that sort of turn, even though the grittiness has been there, the grounded nature has been there. I mean, Austin Butler, for being this suave ex-baseball player guy, is not like the coolest, most capable guy in the world in this movie. He gets the shit kicked out of him by these two Russian guys, and like has a ruptured kidney and has to go to the hospital and get it removed, and he can't drink anymore, which is sort of a more internal personal struggle for him. But he, like, you know, when he gets beat up, he like pisses his pants. Like, Aronofsky is not afraid to shy away from a lot of the realities that he wants to depict in this movie, and I can really appreciate that. But at the same time, it still is having fun and throwing some twists and turns your way. There's a twist you don't expect with the cop portrayed by Regina King. She turns in a good performance. Someone who seems quite nurturing and comforting and like a safe space, or a safe person to console Austin Butler, but she is perhaps quite the opposite. And then, like, you expect Bad Bunny, who's been in a few films at this point in his career, to come in as like this funny guy, you know? I mean, when last time he portrayed someone like this was in Bullet Train a few years ago, where that film is very much pitched at a comedic tone all the time. And this one he's not. He's like genuinely quite frightening and intimidating, and as he should be, as he's supposed to be. And I think Bad Bunny turns in a great performance doing that kind of thing. All of these sort of crime syndicate members do that quite well. Vincent D'Onofrio and Liev Schreiber as the sort of Hasidic Jew characters who show up surprisingly late in the narrative, get involved surprisingly late, but still make great impact, especially in one of the concluding scenes of the film. I really like how that is done with the reveals to what they have done previously to impact Austin Butler's life. And like manipulating this lie that you've potentially been told about them, and you learn that, hey, maybe these guys aren't that bad after all, but indeed they are bad guys who do bad shit and hurt people and don't really care about it. But I do want to sing the praises of one person in particular, and it's probably not somebody that's going to be at the top, going to get top billing on this film by any means. It's going to be Nikita Kukushkin, who portrays one of the Russian mobsters in the film, the little one, if you have seen the film. Just an incredible physical presence from this guy. He plays a character who is nicknamed Microbe, and he just loves using his body as like a battering ram. It's incredible, like how many times he like gets down on all fours and like scrambles at people. Like, that is just a really fun note of the action that Aronofsky is putting in here. And like I mentioned, like there are light and silly things like that going on. There are thrilling things that happen. There's a great foot chase in this film. There is a moment when, yes, indeed, Matt Smith shows back up after being absent for 2/3 of the movie or whatever. And like his whole thing having to now interact with Austin Butler, who is completely embroiled in this criminal conspiracy. They have a fun dynamic. But again, it's also hedged in the fact that Matt Smith is not like the affable buddy of Austin Butler. He is a drug dealer who will cut and run and kill people if he needs to, including Austin Butler. Like, there are all these layers and conflicting interests that Aronofsky is very much interested in making realistic in Caught Stealing that I quite enjoyed. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Speaking of Aronofsky, and that tonal mastery that he has in Caught Stealing, I think he's just a good craftsman, and like I mentioned, he has not really made a sort of like crime thriller action kind of thing in his career, and he does it quite well here. There are some really great tracking shots, and you feel the impact of guns and fistfights and things like that. There's a really cool shot of Austin Butler like climbing down a fire escape as Aronofsky like pushes the camera between these narrowly packed rows of buildings in New York. That I'm like, whoa, this shot is really cool. Like, it's good to have that sort of auteur vision on top of the capability of telling a story that is as thrilling as this, that is as funny as this, but also as grounded and gritty as this. Like, we get that word gets thrown around a lot in crime stories, a gritty crime film, but I think Caught Stealing really earns it a lot more than maybe some of the other studio fare that has tried to adopt that sort of feel in recent years. So yes, quite enjoyed Caught Stealing, and even the note that it ends on, I think, is pretty interesting. Like, it has a sort of bittersweet happy ending, but the losses that Austin Butler had are still present. And yeah, he gets some sort of recompense at the end, but what is that really worth? And he goes through the arc of, he learns not to run away from his past demons, but by the end of the film, he has, like, new demons that he must deal with, and you understand that he can now deal with them at least better than he would at the beginning of the film. I think there's like a lot of great things left unsaid about his character, left, for the audience to sort of pick up on and work around in their mind. I especially like the thing of, he was in a car accident previous to this film. You see that flashback happen a couple of times. And he insists that he doesn't drive anymore because of that. And it just sort of goes unsaid, but it feels intuitive that, well, that's why this guy moved from California to New York, is because it's the one city in the U.S. where you don't need to drive anywhere. I just like that kind of stuff. I think it's done well in Caught Stealing. So very much recommend this film. I would say definitely go out and see it for the the star-studded cast alone, but also if you want something that is a little bit more grown up, a little bit more adult, a little bit more grounded in terms of crime storytelling, that still has that nice patina of an auteur filmmaker behind it. Definitely go check this out. I'm going to give Caught Stealing an 8.5 out of 10. Definite recommend from me. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.